Okay, I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. It's not that hard to do. I'll take them off, because I had a saying, if you don't take them off, I don't put them back on. If I take them off, that's part of what I'll do. If you tell me that's what you want me to do, that's what you're paying for. So the lady said, oh, that's not a big deal. So what I always had a container, went around, took them all off, put them all in this container, cleaned up when I was finished the job, and she paid me and I left. She called me next day, she said, now I understand why you want to charge me more for taking the covers off and putting them back on. She said, I said, oh, you told me yesterday it wasn't a big deal. She said, when you have 36 plugs in a room that you don't even think about. I said, because that's the thing that I do Friday afternoon at 4:15 when my supper's going to be on the table at 5:15 and I got to go around and put 60 plates on. It's not a big job, it's a nuisance. So yes, I always do that. And I hate it when I go into a house and a lot of the older homes, like the story and a half up on Gibbons and that, I've done a lot of those in there, and the previous painters were either lazy or, well, obviously lazy. Paint right over the plug, right over the switch. If you're going to paint that green, I could have painted that green, but I'll never get work here again. Well, maybe I won't. Anyway, no. To me, it's the ugliest sight you can see when you turn around and paint over a switch. I take them off. Anything that I can remove to make my job easier. I've taken medicine cabinets out of people's bathrooms simply because where the cabinet ends here, and I got a space like this, 4 screws. Always have a drill with me. Take the 4 screws out, set the cabinet aside, paint it, put it back in, and they say, how did you paint around that cabinet? You didn't get any on it. Well, I said, that's a trade secret. You can't. I can tell you what I have to kill you. Rick?
Well, and the other thing, when I paint, I take all the hardware off.
I take all the doorknobs off,
Yeah.
the little clip on the end, the stopper, the keeper, I take those all off. And again, people look at you and they say, why are you doing that? So because when you come back and put it back on and you look at it and go, how did he cut around that doorknob? Never got a spot on it. But you know what? It's all a case of your own personal pride in what you do. You know, like when I was painting, I used to say, you know what? I'm not painting for you. I'm painting for him. I want you to tell him how good I am. I mean, yes, I want to do a good job for you, but I want the word to get down the road. One more story about a job I did. I did a job with this guy in Whitby. And he got my name from the paint store. So the day I started, he was there. And I thought, well, I'm surprised he's not going to work. It's 9 o'clock. So anyway, he stood around for a while. And I got my stuff in. And I always had an old moving blanket. And I put the moving blanket on his garage floor. Got all my paint out and set it up the way I do. He said, I have to be honest with you. He said, the reason I stayed home, he said, I was a little skeptical. He said, I didn't know how you painted, never seen you paint before. But he said, the second I saw you put that moving blanket on my garage floor, he said, I thought, if he thinks that much to protect my garage floor, what's he going to do with the rest of my house? He said, have a good day. I'll recommend you. And he did. It's just little things that customers see and something like that. Because I always look at it, it's easy to fold that moving blanket up. A lot easier than it is to clean the paint. Now, having said that, here's a little trick for you. If you guys get the paint outside and you get paint on the driveway, take a little bit of dirt, put it on there, spin on it, cleans the paint, put the brown spot in your driveway. Nobody ever sees the paint. Paint's gone. It's like an asphalt sandpaper. It's my own invention. It's patented, and it'll be out next Christmas. But that's one thing I learned because I did at your house one time. Again, another house story. But the lady had a brand new driveway, and I thought, oh God, I don't spill any paint on this. No paint in it. So I did, and I figured that out, and got away with it. But the sad part about it was a fairly warm day, and they just had the driveway put in. I think it was like a week prior, where I was needing to cut around the doors, like the toes of my boots, because you'll sit back on your boots and just kind of never thought about it, and finished taking the drop cloth. Holy shit! I'm in trouble. How do I get that to rise? I didn't have any yeast cake to make it come up, but I told her, I said, I think the guys must have dropped some kind of material on when they're doing their driveway.
Wayne,
Yeah.
when you're taking out picture frames off the wall, you're repairing the wall, obviously using a stucco to clean up the holes. What do you do to paint over those? Do you prime them? Do you just paint right over them?
No, you prime them first.
Yeah.
I use a drywall compound, and I'll put a dab on it, and then you'll fill the hole. I come back and sand it, and I'll use a dab of primer on it. Because again, if you don't, when you stand at certain angles, you can. If I look down that wall, I could see, maybe 8 or 10 holes. There was nail holes. Some people, they have a picture up, and there's obviously didn't have a stud finder. When you take the picture away, you go, well, there's a lot of holes there. And then sometimes you'll say to them, are you putting the pictures back in the same place? And sometimes you'll say, no, we're going to buy a different picture. So I fill everything, and then that way it's nice. And again, if you don't prime it, it's going to bleed through. So I always prime it. Calvin?
There's some rules about doing a stucco ceiling, right? Oil paint versus latex.
That's a good question. Never use latex on a stucco ceiling unless it's been painted previous to when you're there. And I'll tell you why. One of my early stages of when I started painting, there's a lot of things we do. You learn by mistakes, and you learn by, oh my God, I didn't know that was going to happen. I was doing a house up in North Oshawa. When you come in the front door, it was just a tiny little hallway where their closet was there. So I started there, and I had latex, and I'm rolling across, and all of a sudden there was this big thing coming down. Ooh. Uh-oh, Houston, we have a problem. So I had to go up and get my compound, stick it back up, and leave it there. So I learned from then, a latex roller on a stucco ceiling will tear it off. Now, if I was to paint that ceiling in oil, which I use, when I did stucco ceilings, I used flat oil. Always use flat oil. The reason being, it works longer. It may take longer to dry, but nobody's going up in the ceiling. It gives me more working time. When I'm doing the ceiling, if I was doing the ceiling this size, and it's stucco, I need something that's going to stay wet from the time I get to there to here. Because if I don't, when I overlap, if that's dry, and you overlap, if I was to use latex, and if you just make it, you'll see where it overlapped. So with the oil, it stays wet longer, and I can work it better.
Wait, can you buy oil paint now?
No, it's
That's what I wondered.
it's banned now. It was banned in the States in 1982. I went to Cincinnati where a friend of mine hired me to go down and paint his house, and it was an old house that the FBI big shot owned, and I wanted to use oil for the ceiling, and the guy said to Murray, he says, is he serious? He goes, that's what he wants. He goes, if he wants to use it, use it. But their oil, because they were depleting a lot of it, it was a really dryish type oil and dragged like crazy. And then I found out that they were banning it in the States, and he told me, he says, within 20 or 30 years you won't be able to buy oil paint in Canada. It's the environmental people that are asking to get rid of it. As long as you have to check that and make sure that it's not like punky where it's still going to be any moisture in there. Even if you put the kills in there, if it's wet, it's not going to work. You might have to cut it out. I had to cut one out for a lady up in North Oshawa. It was a huge piece where she had, well, the bubble was still in it when I got there. And so I did, after I finished it, I used kills just to make sure that it wasn't coming through. So.
Yeah, but if it dries up.
Well, if it dries, yeah. If you just get a little dance spot where you get a black spot and then you take your finger and poke and it's not going through, just put kills on it. See?
Aren't they making oil-based or sodium or something? Yeah, they're making primer all the time.
That's oil base?
Yeah, I think you can. Something
I don't know. I've been out of it for 2 years now. I don't.
They still make oil-based primer.
No, oil-based primer. Sorry, yeah, you can buy oil-based primer.
And some of the other oil bases for trims you can still buy. Where it's out west in California,
Yeah.
they still sell it in other places. And if you're persistent enough and you go to like a good paint store, you can get oil-based. It's a special.
It's a special order. Yeah, because like I said, I've been out of it for 2 years now, and I haven't really done it anymore since. So I found the oil when I was using a lot of oil when I was doing it in Toronto. I might as well have been on LSD because there's sometimes I'd be coming home and I'd get home and I go, I don't remember going by Pickering or Ickley, because all the fumes and then you just get lightheaded. That's what I was a normal kid right until then.
So when you're painting a wall, you start on the left-hand side, start going across. So you do a strip all the way down first. So then you start the next. So now you're going to be overlapping.
Yes.
So, I mean, what I find sometimes afterwards, then the overlapping part you see.
Yeah, and you're going to see that. You will see it on the first coat because you don't. That's why I say about letting. I said to Rob about don't let the roller go dry because when you roll over to here, if you stop here, you got to make sure there's still a lot of moisture in here. You don't want to start here and feel the roller starting to. You can tell when the roller's starting to empty. You just get that. It's hard to show you here on the table, but you can tell when it's starting to dry out. So when you get to this part here and you start to feel you're going to run out, stop there. Take your next wet roller and go back over that way, right over the one you just did, because this is still wet. But if you get overlaps, and obviously this was dry, now you've got second coat. So make sure you leave this part a little bit damp, so when you roll it, you'll get a Rick.
Talking about stucco ceiling, how do you know if your stucco ceiling has been painted?
A lot of times if you take your hand and run it over it, you can tell by the grit, like a lot of it doesn't fall off.
Get a spray bottle of water.
Yeah, you can do that. But that's how I used to tell, and then I can always tell when people have painted them since they were sprayed. They're basically sealed. Now, going back to the question about using latex on a stucco sealant, if I had done that lady's house, say 3 years prior, and I knew that I painted with oil, and I go back and do it again, I can now use latex because it's sealed. All those little pebbles are sealed. Wayne?
Just talking about the stucco ceilings, if the fact you haven't painted